I was a missionary when I went into full-time missions in 2005 as an 18-year-old, and I served at a ministry in New York City, and then I moved from there after a bunch of years to Brazil. I lived in Brazil for 1 year, and from Brazil, I moved to Haiti. And I lived in Haiti on and off over a year. And during that time period, I was asked to be an interim director of an orphanage on the island of Laganoff. And I said yes to that. And I had been back in the US and I had come back to go to the island with a couple of friends. And when we arrived, they let us know that there was an epidemic happening there called chikungunya. And they described it to us that it was a bloodborne disease. The mosquito, it was passed through mosquitoes. And when you would contract it, you would be bedridden with excruciating pain in your body. The name chikungunya literally means to be contorted with pain, and it was informally known as the bone breaking disease because it feels like your bones are breaking at the same time. So you would typically, for most people, you'd feel it in either one part of your body or multiple parts of your body, and you could have pain from 3 days to 2 weeks time. And then after that, typically for your average person, the pain would either lessen or go away, and you could have relapses of it within a 1 year period. But after that first year of it being in your bloodstream, the majority of people, 97% of people, become immune to it and have life immunity. And so, our friends had told me that when we got there and we prayed about it. I felt very strongly that God had told me to be the interim director on this island. So I just thought, it's fine. God's going to protect us. We're going to bring healing to people. We believe in supernatural healing. Like, it's not going to be a problem. So we went on to the island, and within, I don't know, a few weeks of being there, all the children had it, all the Haitian staff had it, and everyone that I brought with me had it. And it was crazy. Like, everyone is in excruciating pain. You get high fevers, rash on your body. And with children, the hard part was keeping their fevers down in Haiti heat, which was, 100-degree weather or more. So we were just rushing around doing that. And then I remember very vividly the morning that I woke up with it, which...
So up to this point, though, you guys were not really too concerned because it was kind of just common that people were just getting this
Yeah, it seemed
virus.
it was happening to everyone, everywhere. So for the kids, they had told us it was more like for kids or for elderly, keeping the fevers down in the heat that we were in and keeping them hydrated and stuff. But other than that, it's just a lot of pain. So trying to keep them comfortable.
Were most of the cases you guys saw pretty like consistent, just consistently the same, none
Yeah,
worse than others, or
it seemed that way externally. It was very hard to tell because a lot of that's based off of someone's pain tolerance too. So you don't really know, but it looked like everyone was kind of experiencing similar pain where you just couldn't do anything. You'd wake up and pain all throughout your body and you just want to lay down all day because
crazy.
of that. Yeah. So when I got it, I had been the director for a few weeks, and my typical day, I would wake up very early, like between 4 and 5 a.m., have my time with the Lord. And then by 6 a.m., there were staff coming to me, or I was having to deal with different things that were happening. And the day that I woke up with it, I guess it was like closer to 9 or 10 a.m. So the staff was wondering where I was. Nobody had seen me. I was in my room in this little hut on the floor, sleeping on my mat. And one of the staff came in looking for me, and he saw me there and pulled me out on my mat. I remember him pulling me out, and I had so much pain in my body. I couldn't even think straight. I couldn't speak English. I speak Brazilian Portuguese, and I was pretty fluent in Creole, Haitian Creole at this point. And even though some of my thoughts were in English, like just Portuguese and Creole was coming out, and it was so much confusion. And I remember the staff member, he just started to dump buckets of water on me to try to take down my temperature, my body temperature. And the rest of the day was a blur. I just laid there. I couldn't move, so much pain.
That's crazy. So do you know some of the detail, like the more technical aspects of what the disease does to you? So it's in your blood. Do you know like why it reacts a certain way to cause so much pain, or what kind of details did they give you?
At the time, there was not much information about it. I actually don't know if there's more now. This is skipping ahead, but when I had come back to the States and was getting blood tests done, I remember sitting in the doctor's office and he was Googling it, like trying to find information.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was
If you're a
very,
doctor, don't Google what your patient has in front
yeah,
of
he was
them.
just like typing on the computer. And at that point, I was in a wheelchair and had been in a lot of pain for months, but that's skipping ahead. So, all that to say, at that time in 2000, this was in 2015, in the summer of 2014, like June, that I had gotten it. And there hadn't been much information, other than that there wasn't any vaccine for it, there wasn't any medication that touched it. Yeah. So, not sure.
Wow, that's crazy. So you had contracted it. People are dumping buckets of water on you in Haiti. And so what happens from there? How long were you in that state?
Yeah, so it was about 2 weeks. I remember being right around there. It's hard to remember exactly, but it was about 10 days to 2 weeks that I was laid out, couldn't get up. But I'm a very stubborn person. So toward the end of that 10-day, 2 week period, I just got up. I remember using like a stick type staff to like walk up and down because it was kind of on a mountain that I traveled up to the orphanage and down. And I just kind of grit and bore it, if that's the terminology to use, to grit
Grin
and
and bore it.
grin and bear it.
Grin and bear it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just pushed through the pain, and it did lessen at times. And then, for me, what it looked like other people would have their 10-day to 2 week period and then didn't really have relapses that I saw. But I was having relapses every month, and my month each time it was like a week long, 10 days, sometimes 2 weeks.
Of the same amount of pain that you felt the
Yes,
first
like
time.
just excruciating pain and being laid out. And yeah, that confused me, but again, I just thought, this is what it is, and it just happens to be worse in me. But then it was October of that year, 2014,
Okay.
and I had finished
You were bitten by the mosquito
June.
June.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now we're in.
So June, July, August, September, October, mid-October, I'm praying in Port-au-Prince, like, God, what do you want me to do with my next, months? And he gave some very clear direction where I was going to go to Brazil till December, from November to December, and then come back to the States. And he had told me very specifically in my I had done 40 days of prayer and fasting, and that I was going to be back at Street Life Ministries, where I had served, my first 6.5 years as a missionary in New York City. So I knew that I was going to be there January to September-ish. Like that was the time that he wanted me there. I had talked to them. They were good with that. So I went to Brazil around in the beginning of November, and I don't remember having any pain. November, December, nothing. No relapses. I kind of even forgot that I had it because I was just in the clear. And then I came back to the States and was in my hometown in January. And at the very end of January, I moved to New York City and to the ministry. And in the first few weeks of being back, we were moving a staff member into a new apartment, and it was a lot of physical activity, which is normal. It wasn't abnormal for me. But after like a couple days after, a day or so after, I felt like achy and kind of sick. And I was like, man, I wonder if it's just from moving all this stuff. But then it just progressively got worse. And so I was like, oh, shoot, like I have chikungunya still. Like I'm still in my year place here.
You like
And
totally forgot about it.
yeah, it had been a couple months, 3 months by that point, November, December, January,
Mm.
with nothing. So I quickly told the leaders there, and they had me share with the staff so everyone could know what was going on. That was like the beginning. That was February, that all of a sudden it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And soon I just couldn't even get out of bed anymore.
So from June to February then, how much like attention were you giving to these relapses and the sickness? Because I know you're focused on what you're doing, doing the work in Haiti, directing the orphanage, coming back, working in Brazil. Is this stuff like in your mind at all, or are you just like plowing going forward?
Yeah, I could say I was probably not really thinking about it until it would hit, and I'd be like, come on,
Hmm.
this is annoying. Like, because I'm just, yeah, very vision oriented, doing what I'm doing. And it just kind of felt like an annoyance, a very painful annoyance. Yeah. So kind of on the back of my mind, I guess, not
Mhm.
the forefront until February of
And you were
2015.
like, wait a second here, this is something else is going on.
Yeah, because by February, it was, like, getting worse and worse, and then it just didn't leave. So by mid-March, it was, like, early March, I was meeting with some of the staff leaders, and by this time, I had been, in a bed, having a lot of difficulty even getting up to walk around, and they said, "Hey, we've been thinking about this. We wonder if you've contracted something else because this, is not really fitting into what you said, like,
Mm-hmm.
a relapse of 10 to 14 days. It's
And
been
they're
much
hearing
further than
about this
this."
disease the first time too.
Yeah, they
Like
had
they
never
had,
heard about it.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
just from me. I'm the only thing that time that they've heard about it. So they said, "Why don't maybe you should go to the doctor and get some blood tests done," and as soon as they said it, I thought, I should, like, maybe I contracted something else while I'm there. I don't know. This isn't lining up. And so I called my parents. They paid for my flight, brought me back to Boston. And that was the first time I was in a wheelchair at that point. Like, I went to the airport, and the director of the ministry, who's like, like a father in the faith to me, he had to call for wheelchair assistance. And that was a really crazy experience for me. For some reason, it felt very like embarrassing to be at the time I was 26 years old, a 26-year-old that looked healthy externally. Like there was nothing, I didn't have broken bones. I didn't have a cast on, nothing like that. I'm just in a wheelchair and can't even wheel myself. Like someone has to push me through the airport. And that was the very first time that I felt kind of ostracized. Like,
Well, there's some like deeper stuff going on in your heart there at that point. What's up, everyone? Thank you for watching this video clip. If you liked it, check out more videos on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, get alerts for when we post new stuff, and we hope you stick around. God bless you guys.